So we've come to that time of the year. We're at the end of it and we need to take a look back and review how everything was. And I think everybody is going through that process. I was going to make a video talking about, sort of my ratings this year for the platforms and everything. But honestly, I just thought that was pretty boring content. For one, I only have a PlayStation. I'm not interested in Xbox or what they have to offer. Not really interested in Nintendo either. And I don't care for gaming on PC. So it was just going to be a very narrow scope. And at the end of the day, I really enjoyed my time this year with the PlayStation. So everything that I was saying in there was extremely nitpicky. However, I have been paying attention to a few websites and a few sort of like opinions as to how people go about rating the year. At the end of the day, your opinion is your opinion. I'm not going to argue you on that. However, when it came especially to a few media sites, one thing I kept noticing was that they would attribute a lot of points to Microsoft for their Game Pass output. What is Game Pass bringing to the table, specifically games that are going into Game Pass, whether it's a first party or third party. And it seemed to me that when they are looking at a PlayStation, they would attribute a lot of, their points and everything to the exclusive output. Whether there's a third party or first party exclusives didn't really matter, but they wouldn't take PlayStation Plus into consideration. And I just thought that was weird, right? Because obviously, Starfield, Redfall, Hi-Fi Rush, no matter how you feel about those games, they should be attributed to the Xbox ecosystem because they are first-party exclusive games. That makes a lot of sense. So, when they do the same for Horizon, Call of the Mountain, Burning Shores, Spider-Man 2, that makes sense also. But then it's almost like you then have this extra allocation of points or positive sentiment or just conversation around Game Pass. And over there is what about the subscription? What is it bringing forward and the value? They always talk about, Game Pass is the best value in gaming. Game Pass is the best deal in gaming. Game Pass is this and Game Pass is that. And they hardly ever talk about PlayStation Plus. Like what you then have is this sort of dichotomy where it feels, I don't even want to say that it feels dishonest, but it just feels almost like they haven't done the research. Like they just are not interested in going beyond just the normal kind of like gaming Twitter conversation. Like Game Pass being the best deal of gaming has been this colloquialism, which always kind of seemed weird to me because I'm always like, wait, but PlayStation offers more games with the PlayStation Plus service. So you know what? Today I thought let's just go for a little exercise. Let's go down an avenue together and let's come up with a scenario where a person might actually just look exclusively at the subscription service. Okay, so first of all, if you don't know exactly what we're going to do there, we're going to explain what they are. Let's explain first what these subscription services are. PlayStation Plus and Xbox Game Pass function a lot like a Netflix or a Disney Plus. For a subscription fee, whether you pay yearly or monthly, you will get access to a library of games, and then those games will sometimes rotate out. So the scenario that I have here is that we're going to imagine up a 25 to 35-year-old gamer. Okay, this is a person that has left gaming for approximately 10 years. So they never played the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One generation of games. They just completely skipped that. Life got in the way, whatever it is. And now they are trying to bring themselves back into gaming. And so what they will have then is they are going to bring themselves back into gaming. They're going to purchase both the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, the big one. And then they are going to work strictly off the subscription service. Okay, so let's say that this is a person dipping their toe back into gaming. They are not sure if they're going to be committed financially to the hobby, so they just want to have it sort of like for an entire, for I think as cheaply as possible, right? In a cheap and most convenient way as possible. They are going to ignore every single game that comes during 2023. They're going to ignore every single game that comes outside of the subscription service. So the Spider-Man 2s, the Final Fantasy 16, those don't count. Okay, and are only going to work off what each platform is offering as part of their subscription. They are going to subscribe to the highest tier of their respective platforms. So on PlayStation Plus, they'll be subscribed to the premium tier. They're also going to be based in the US. And then finally on the Xbox, they will be subscribed to the Game Pass Ultimate tier. Okay, they have access to a PC. they have a Samsung washing machine and they have a Samsung TV and a Samsung toaster, so they'll be able to make use of Game Pass whenever those apps become available on those platforms. So we're basically going to say like this is one person that is locked in for the consoles. They're primarily a console gamer, but they will dabble into PC or cloud if they need to for a particular game. That's fine because they have access to those things already. And so they're just basically going to say, okay, where can I get the most value from the ecosystem? And so at first, I'm going to present you this table that I put together of, it's a spreadsheet of all of the games that came through PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Plus Extra, okay? Not PlayStation Plus Premium because I took away the PS3 classic games and things like that. And I wasn't interested in doing that because the PlayStation 5 itself does not have native PlayStation 3 capability. So you're going to hear the caveats and the decisions that I made because there's also things like I'm not being paid for this. I'm not a journalist yet. Somehow I've done more research than them. But the point is, in order to keep it manageable and to keep it simple and understandable, there are going to be some caveats, some things that are taken away from both platforms. But you're going to see that there's still value left in there. Okay, so and then on the Xbox side, like I said, they are going to be subscribed to the highest tier. They are going to have access to PC, and that's simply because I didn't want to distinguish between PC Game Pass and Xbox Game Pass. Again, that becomes like a whole delinearization, and it just became too much. So to kind of keep it quick and simple, there is going to be the things that we're going to look for. So in the spreadsheet, we are not going to care about reviews. Okay, so this is a person that's going to be willing to experiment, willing to find out what they like and what they don't like. Okay, and so basically, they are not going to be looking at reviews and letting that influence their games. They're just going to download the game, try it. If they like it, they like it. If they don't like it, they don't like it. It is what it is. We're not going to account for exclusives. So whether a game is, for example, when they put Horizon Forbidden West on PlayStation Plus in February, that doesn't get any more, like panache because it is exclusive to PlayStation. That's perfectly fine. We're not going to account for that, so that's fine. On Xbox, we're going to include games that are on PC Game Pass and cloud as well. So again, this is a Game Pass Ultimate tier. They have access to the cloud streaming and everything, so they will get access to those games. Again, I didn't want to split the spreadsheet into like, oh, this is only available there, that's only available there. Since they're paying the full price anyway, we're going to say that they're going to make use of the entire ecosystem as much as they can. Okay, on the PlayStation front, even though we subscribe to PlayStation Plus Premium, we're not going to count any of the classic games. We're not going to count any of the PlayStation 3 games. Again, the console itself does have native compatibility on there. And even though I know cloud streaming is becoming more of a thing, right now in 2023, it's not that big a deal. I truly do not think that PlayStation Plus shines in this regard anyway, so I don't think it's handicapping it much. Okay, the next thing and the big thing is that since the person skipped the previous generation of consoles, they do not care if a game is like a PlayStation 4 native game or PlayStation 5 native game or an Xbox One versus an Xbox Series X. They will always play the best version of these games. So for example, on the Xbox side, you will have things like FPS boost, you have the upgraded frame rate, the console will have smart delivery. So they'll always play sort of like the best version available. If a game is available both on PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5, they will play the PlayStation 5 version. So they are tech savvy enough for that. Okay. We also are not going to account for any games that leave the service. Okay. So you guys know that this is a rotating library. Okay. Except for the PlayStation Plus, PlayStation Plus Extra? No, PlayStation Plus Essential games. PlayStation Plus Essential games, once you claim them, you have them forever, so they don't come out of your library. But I also didn't delinearize for that, so that is also its own thing. But essentially, we do not care about any games that leave the service because since we're only looking at 2023, there's a low likelihood that a game that was introduced in 2023 will leave in 2023. I know that has happened in the past before, but for right now, we're just going to just take that away. Okay, and then finally, they do not care whether it is a third party or a first party game. So I think I talked about it from being a third party or first party exclusive before, but again, we don't care if it's first party or if it's third party. The point is the platform is bringing you this as part of the subscription, so you get to play it, and that's really what matters. Okay, one more thing on the Xbox side, we do not include games with gold. Now, if you know anything about games with gold, you know that those games are not even worth putting down on paper. So we're just not going to do that. So there it is. So there's definitely some caveats there. On the PlayStation front, we're not including PS3 games. The Xbox front, we're not including games with gold. On the PlayStation, you know, there is enough that I think that the assumptions let it be balanced. So now let's take a look at the sheet which you guys saw a little bit before. So first, at the top there, you will see that here I have the month, and then I have a delinearization for day one release. Why do I keep saying that word? I'm clearly not good at saying it. But the point is, I do differentiate for day one releases. So these are day and date releases. So you see the month there, January. On the PlayStation Plus side, they had 0 games that were released day and date. On the Game Pass side, they had 6 games that were released day and date. So there it is. On the PlayStation side, you're going to see a PlayStation Plus is going to cost $160 US. Again, this is the cheapest normal price that you can get it by just buying for the yearly membership. Okay, on the Xbox side, we are going to see $204 US for the entire year. So this is a person that also would experiment for the entire year. Another thing I should have made super clear is that this person is not going to play any games that were on the service from previous years. Okay, just to make this as simple as possible. We're not going to care about the entire library of games, because if we did that, then we'll have to keep it up to date and be talking about which games have left by now. Did they meet these games? Because the game could have come in 2020. Then by the time that this person signs up in 2023, it's no longer part of that service. And I just didn't want to do that. So again, this is just going to be as simple as possible. Okay. Another thing with the prices here is I do not care. I do not account for sales. For example, if I started saying that they could have found a 30% off deal, you know, with the PlayStation Plus side, then person could say, hey, they could have gotten 3 months free of Game Pass by buying chips, or by buying the console, or buying lipstick, or buying like puppies or whatever. So we're not going to count for that. We're only going to care for sort of like the most easily accessible round year, or year round, I should say, year round base price. Okay, and then over here, these are the totals. So here is the total amount of games that were offered. The one that is in bold is the one that kind of won that month in terms of quantity, because I believe that these subscription services emphasize quantity over everything else. Okay, so in January, we had 13 games released on PlayStation Plus, 11 on Xbox. Of those, 6 were day and date on the Xbox side, and none were day and date on the PlayStation side. In February, we had 17 games released for PlayStation, 11 games released for Game Pass, one of them being day and date on Game Pass. Okay, in March, we have 17 games released on PlayStation Plus, 9 games released on Xbox Game Pass, 1 game was released day and date on PlayStation Plus, that was Chia, and then 2 games, MLB The Show and Wulong Fallen Dynasty, was released for Xbox Game Pass. Okay, in the month of April, for the first time, we have Xbox actually taking the win with 14 games released versus 13 on PlayStation Plus, and 1 game, Meet Your Maker, released day and date for PlayStation versus 2 games released day and date. That was Coffee Talk Episode 2 and Minecraft Legends, released day and date for Xbox Game Pass. Continuing, we have a tie. In May, 17 games were released on each platform. Actually, no, hold on. This is a mistake. This is 20, sorry. I forgot to update this. I could tell by the spacing. And I think I've actually made a mistake here for this one. So I will try to get this one fixed, because there's one. Oh, I understand. No, this one is fine. It's just that the Shadow Realm trilogy, there's actually 3 games in there, so that kind of affects how it looks visually. But yes, let's start over. In May, we have 20 games for PlayStation Plus, and then we have 17 games released for Xbox Game Pass. Okay, of those, we had 1 game in PlayStation Plus, Humanity, that was released day and date, versus 5 games in Xbox Game Pass. So those games are Ravenlock, Redfall, and then the Shadowrun trilogy, which I think are remasters, but I think they were remasters that were released day and date. But since I wrote it down as a trilogy rather than the individual titles, that's again why there seems to be a little bit of a visual discrepancy in the sheet, but it is correct. Okay, So let's move on to June. June, we have 28 games released on PlayStation Plus versus 13 on Xbox Game Pass. So this, I think, is the biggest month where they have the biggest difference. And then they each release one game each, day and date. So Rogue Legacy 2 was released day and date for the PlayStation Plus. And then the Bookwalker Thief of Tales was released on Xbox Game Pass day and date in the month of June. Let's continue. Okay, so in July, we have 18 games for PlayStation Plus and 15 for Xbox Game Pass. 0 games were released day and date on the PlayStation Plus service, and only one, Venba, was released day and date on Xbox Game Pass. August finds us with 17 games for PlayStation Plus, 13 games for Xbox Game Pass. 2 games this time, Moving Out 2 and Sea of Stars, were released day and date on PlayStation Plus, versus only one was released on Xbox Game Pass day and date, and that was Sea of Stars as well. And Sea of Stars is the first game that released day and date on both services pretty much at the same time. So that one was interesting. Let's continue. All right. September saw 19 versus 9. 19 being for PlayStation Plus, 9 being for Xbox Game Pass. However, 0 games were released day and date on PlayStation Plus, and 3 were released day and date on Xbox Game Pass. October actually is the first proper tie, and I didn't make a mistake this time. 14 games released on both platforms each, and of those, 4 were available day and date with Xbox Game Pass. That was Forza Motorsport, Jusant, The Lamplighters League, and Warhammer 40,000 Dark Tide. And 0 games were released day and date for PlayStation Plus that month. Okay, so now we have an interesting case where this is the first time, I believe, maybe, in November that we see Xbox Game Pass actually release more games overall. Okay, so over here now, what we're going to have is 14 games released on Xbox Game Pass, 12 games released on PlayStation Plus, and then 3 games were released day and date on Xbox Game Pass. Those were Football Manager 2024, Persona 5 Tactica, and Thirsty Suitors. And then only 1 game was released day and date on Xbox, so on PlayStation Plus, and that was Teardown. Okay, December brings us back into alignment with 17 games for PlayStation Plus versus 11 for Xbox Game Pass, and then 0 games from either platforms were released day and date. So to look at the totals, we have 205 games through the year of 2023 that were released on PlayStation Plus versus 151, and that's a difference of 54 games. So 54 games were released, 54 more games were released on PlayStation Plus than Xbox Game Pass, but we have 29 games released day and date on Xbox Game Pass versus only 7 released day and date on PlayStation Plus. Okay, so then I have some references at the bottom there. Another thing I should add is that this copy of the worksheet, except for the one that I just made a mistake with, and I think I will update it, is actually going to be available to you in the description box. It's a Google Drive file, so you can share it, you can view it at your own leisure. If you want to go in and then make your own analysis about the quality of these games or which one you prefer, the list that you prefer and everything, you go ahead and do that. But yeah, it will be freely available to you. So have fun with that. Okay, so like I said, now let's make a few deductions. So number one, I think the end results of this, just at a very surface level analysis, is that it falls in line with what each company is trying to do. PlayStation sees PlayStation Plus as a catalog service. They see it as something that primarily focuses on games that have already released, and now you are just kind of supplementing people's backlogs with games that have already made the money. They've already made the mark on the market. Whether they were successful or not, they've already spent time available on the open market, and now they fold into the subscription. So then you see that 205 of them were released, and then 7 were day and date. And I think that also speaks to where they're spending the money. They're spending the money on giving you a larger library of games, and I think they're able to negotiate cheaper contracts simply because, number one, they have the volume of players, but most importantly, they're not looking for day and date releases from these publishers. Xbox Game Pass, on the other hand, heavily emphasizes its day and date claims. And when you see that 29 out of 151, so let's go and find that in terms of percentage. So that will kind of put things more into perspective. So that means that 19%, 19.2% of all the games released on Xbox Game Pass this year was day and date. So let's just make that, colloquial. So let's just call it 20%. 20% of all games released this year on Xbox Game Pass were day and date games. So if you truly care about day and date, that gives you a lot to work with in terms of where you want to put your money. By comparison, if we just do what PlayStation Plus does, and we'll say only 3%. It comes to 3.4, but only 3%, again, just making it simple, of games were released day and date on the PlayStation Plus service. So that kind of shows you, again, where each company is aligned. Now, I'm not going to make much of a judgment as to which one is better, but I will say that they definitely, for me, seems to be holes in this whole notion that, oh, Game Pass is full of variety, Game Pass is full of this, Game Pass is full of that. Because when you look at all the list of these games, number one, PlayStation Plus offers more games. Okay, it's just straight out of the box. Okay, number two, PlayStation Plus, because the way that it is set up, it has the essential tier built in. Those are games that you keep. So out of all of these games, you will keep, I think it was roughly 34 games that are yours to keep forever, and they will never leave your library. And the amount of diversity between these offerings is pretty much just as credible as one another. I don't think you can say that Xbox Game Pass is more diverse, more or less diverse than PlayStation Plus. I don't think you could argue that. But PlayStation Plus is noticeably cheaper. It is $44 cheaper to have running for the year. So again, at the end of the day, I think that both services are great. I really do. I'm not one of those people that is like, oh my God, subscription services, you don't own anything. Like, I just think that if you are going into a subscription service, then you know what you're going for. Like, you know what it is that you're interested in. So I don't think that that is an argument worth making one way or the other. But this whole notion that Game Pass somehow gives extra diversity points to Xbox, it just seems non-genuine when you actually write down all of the things that are offered by both platforms, and you realize, well, PlayStation Plus, by virtue of, offering similar styles of games, but even more of them, it does offer more diversity. Even if all of the genres are covers, it offers more games within that genre or within those genres than Game Pass ever did. However, it cannot be taken away that if you are truly excited to play a game day one on Xbox, then Game Pass is the way to, also, if you're truly excited to play games day one as part of your subscription service, then Xbox is clearly the way to go. Like, they offer nearly 6 times, 6 times more day and date games, with comparative to their own respective percentages. That kind of gets into whole analyzing statistics. But the point is, you will receive 6 times more day and date game from what Game Pass has to offer you than what you would versus PlayStation Plus. So that was it. So at the end of the day, which one do you think that this new, gamer that is just kind of like coming in, they are trying things that play only on subscription, they only care about the subscriptions that come from that point forward. So they would have started in January of 2023 and they would have played all the way through December of 2023. Maybe from there, they would have made an estimation, which experiences did I like best, which games at the end of the day did they fall in love with more from each respective service. But I just don't want to make this complicated. And I truly don't even want to make this like a console war topic, because at the end of the day, I'm going to have my biases and I'm going to say to you like, oh, well, I don't care about Starfield, or I don't care about this, I don't care about that. And then for somebody else, Starfield will be the game of the generation. It will be the game that they have played singularly the most. But I don't know. I just hope to show you that each subscription service has its own respective, selling points. And those things should be talked about more openly, like in a more honest way. This whole notion that Game Pass is the best deal in gaming, when you look at pure quantity versus price, that completely falls apart. It absolutely does. And you cannot say that it is more diverse, or it offers more diversity than PlayStation Plus, because it clearly doesn't. So it's just like, to me, it is not the best deal in gaming because it costs more money and offers less games. And that's it. But to a person that has a preference for Xbox first party, then obviously that's going to factor into it. So yeah, that was it. That was my little end of year wrap up, just to kind of show you guys, I think, where the industry is. But just talking a little bit about gaming media. At the end of the day, I think that gaming media is incredibly dishonest because they do not do their research. They are basically saying that Game Pass is the best deal in gaming because it has been colloquially accepted by gamers that Game Pass is the best deal in gaming. Basically, when Microsoft first sort of like threw out that phrase, it kind of spread like wildfire, and it's still kind of carrying on to the momentum of this particular thing where everybody says it, so everybody assumes it is true. But when you do the numbers and you crunch the math, it just doesn't work out that way. Like, it isn't the best deal in gaming if we are talking simply about quantity. And the thing is, subscription services primarily, like, their main appeal is quantity. You know what I mean? Like, if PlayStation Plus only offered 40 games throughout the year, we would of course say that Xbox Game Pass has more value to offer. Like, they talk about value, 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 and yet they never do things like comparing like Metacritic averages. Again, that will go beyond the scope of what I try to do for this video, but those will be things where you could tangibly show that, hey, this will offer you more maybe subjective value. Maybe they could break it down like what is actually diversity, like what genres of games are offered by each of these things, and then how many games within those genres are offered. So for example, we could break it down to how many platformers were offered in 2023 from both services, how many action adventure games, how many first person shooter games, how many third person shooter games, how many looter shooter games, how many live services, microtransaction, we could break it down in a way that I think is more substantive and that will help gamers actually make a more informed decision than what I just did. Because what I just did is that you heard the caveats in the beginning. I only cared about the surface level stuff. But maybe if a person knows that, okay, they're only going to play from the subscription services and they truly care about racing games, how many of those were offered in each, platform. Maybe some people are going to be like, well, I truly care about the fresh experience, the day-ended games, the games I can play alongside my community. How many of those were offered? Maybe a person is like, hey, I really care about JRPGs. How many of those JRPG games were offered from both services? Like, there's many ways that this gaming media should be actually helping us to make informed decisions, not just about games we purchase, but about the subscription services. So that if you are sitting on the fence, but you know that you have maybe $700 in a bank account that you will dedicate to gaming, right? And you know that these consoles are going to cost you what they are going to cost you, but you will supplement your gaming through these subscription services, there should be a way to make an informed choice. And the gaming media just does not give us that. It doesn't break it down for us. A person could be someone who is interested in fighters, in horror games, and in VR. And those are the three most important things to them. There should be a way for them to be like, okay, how did these subscription services measure up? Or am I going to need to pony up more money, in order to kind of feed what I like to see in gaming? But no, instead we just get these blanket false statements such as like, oh, this is the most, this is the best value in gaming, out of nowhere, without any proof, without any way of actually sitting down and saying, this is why we say that this is the case. Okay, so there you go. There's my rant. I think we do need better gaming media. I think we do. I shouldn't be the one to do this. Like, I did it at a very surface level, and yet it is still miles better than anything that I've seen out there. People keep making these end of year, kind of ratings of Xbox and PlayStation 2023, and like I say, they keep assigning this kind of oversized importance to Game Pass and what it means for the Xbox ecosystem, and then they don't do the same. They do not equate, the same thing to the PlayStation side. They'll tell you, oh, Game Pass offers you so much value. Game Pass this, Game Pass that. And then some of them never even mention PlayStation Plus. So I don't know. That's disingenuous. That's a disservice to the people that are actually watching them and to the audience that might actually make a purchasing decision based on what they've heard from them. So in any case, I'm going to end it here. You guys have a wonderful new year. I look forward to speaking with you in 2024, hopefully. But yeah, hope this was useful to you.